everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to give some quick thoughts on the second full trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps. Now there could potentially be spoilers for all movies and TV series within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so just beware when going to this overall video, and you can check out my thoughts on the first trailer of this film, and I'll leave a link for the video within the description. So as we all know, this movie is set to release on July the 25th, 2025. It will be the third Marvel movie this year after Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts, and overall the 37th entry in the forever going Marvel Cinematic Universe and the first installment of their Phase 6. This will of course centre on the first family and property within Marvel Comics, being Fantastic Four. Now in terms of the first trailer that released a couple of months ago, overall I had positive vibes. I liked the bright optimistic tone, the retro futuristic aesthetic, in a clearly defined alternate universe, and overall I think that was a good tactic as it allowed the Fantastic Four to have their own standalone story without having to worry about linking to previous MCU iterations, and overall it had a nice colour and fun spirit to it. Now in terms of the second trailer, I'm a bit more mixed. In terms of the positives, the bright tone is still there along with the colours. I do overall like and have got used to the costumes. Again, a nod to the original from the source material, and that's always good to see. I still like the rendition of the Thing. This seems like it will be much more of a upbeat, positive, more gentle personality than the more somber, introspective, and very much in a tormented version that we've become used to. One of the defining aspects of the Thing is that how he bemoans his overall appearance and how he yearns to go back to his human form someday. So it will be interesting to see if they keep that all the way through the actual film, or will we see much more of an inner angst within the character later on down the line. I also like the fact that we have a world that embraces the heroes who are comfortable in their roles, and overall I think that's the right choice for the Fantastic Four. There's none of this deconstruction, self-pity, feeling the burden of saving the world. These characters, from what we see in the trailers, are happy with themselves, positive and upbeat, and more than proactive in terms of saving the world, and that's overall very good and refreshing to see. Now to be honest, this trailer packed a lot of the story, perhaps even too much as to what we will get within the film. Here we have the assumed plotline that there will be two missions, from what I can gather throughout this film. The first one being the original origin, when a team go to space, they get hit by cosmic rays, that's when they gain their powers and they become back to Earth and become established heroes. And this is where we see the multiple scenes of them interacting with the crowds and the media, many people embracing the fact once more that they are Fantastic Four, very similar to what we saw within the first Avengers film. Again, I like that type of direction for these characters. And then the second mission, it seems that we will get towards the climax, where we assume that the team will have to go into the final last scalps mission in order to defeat Galactus. Again, we have those moments where we see Reed Richards especially making a speech about how they will look after us or take care of us, and again that must surely hint towards the pending threat of Galactus, which I still believe that the Fantastic Four will end up losing the fight against, or they'll either escape or be transported into the current MCU timeline through the negative zone. And hopefully that's what we get, because that will be the absolute right decision, because you can't have the Fantastic Four defeating somebody like Galactus, not on their own. It will completely nerf the villain, especially if he comes back to fight the heroes later on when they are within the current MCU timeline. We also learn that Sue Storm is pregnant, a bit of a early development to have for your first film, and there has been many speculation that this will involve the role of Franklin Richards, who in the comic books is the son of Sue and Reed, and he'll be very integral in either the Avengers Doomsday films or Secret Wars. In various comic book storylines, Franklin Richards proves to be a very integral figure in terms of massive crossover events. If they do go that direction, that's a lot to be involved with, especially when you are introducing this new iteration of the Fantastic Four, but hopefully they'll manage to not jam pack too much source material to confuse especially more casual audiences. And once more, we did get the vibe of Sue Storm being the more involved, or certainly the more dominant personality. We pointed this out when I talked about the first trailer. In the casting of Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Vanessa is much more of a taller, statuesque female for the character, And I do believe that was deliberately done so that she could command much more authority over the team. And if that proves to be a case, that's once more going to provoke a lot of more negative reaction to this film, will once more bring up the comparisons or references to the MCU once more. We do then have to focus in what is no doubt going to be the most contentious element of this trailer and perhaps the film also, and that is the female Silver Surfer. Now, we've known this for many years now that the Silver Surfer in this version will be the Shalla iteration from the comic books. If you don't know your comic book history, Shalla originally was the wife of the original version of the Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd, who was the astronomer living on the planet Zenlar. When Galactus comes to take over his planet, Norrin Radd strikes a bargain with Galactus that he will find other planets for him to consume, and in order to do that, Galactus infuses Norrin Radd with the power cosmic, transforming him into the Silver Surfer. And for me, it's still so disappointing that we can't get the original Silver Surfer in his own solo movie with Galactus first appearing there. That's really the approach that Marvel should have gone with, but there you go now. There's not too much complaining in it at this point. But in terms of the female Silver Surfer that we get to see in this trailer, I have to say it's not good. The design, the aesthetic just looks and feels very cheap and plastic. They did have the obvious difficulty of showing her figure without being gratuitous in terms of stating the obvious, but overall the design here looks very unfinished, if I'm being honest. Now, you can say what you like about the Tim Story Fantastic Four films, but in terms of the second film, which featured the Silver Surfer, in terms of design and the vocals and the movement of that character, they got it absolutely spot on. That was really good. And it is troubling and also disappointing once more how we can get something as good as that, which was released almost 20 years ago now, believe it or not, and yet it looks far better than what we had in this current iteration here. And this is nothing to do with the fact that she's female, even though I don't like that choice. It's just the fact that this overall design and effect doesn't look good for especially where we are today in terms of rates of special effects. I just feel that this version here really pales in comparison, and I'm really hoping, just in terms of the vibe for the film itself, that this is not finished and that we would get a far more rendered and fluid iteration of the Silver Surfer in the finished movie. But again, regardless of whether it looks good or bad, I'm still overall very disappointed that we won't see Norrin Radd in his own special film. I honestly felt that Marvel were going to stick to the smart decision of not showing her in the trailers at all, as what they're doing with Galactus, but that has proven not to be. Now, we did get the first look at Reed Richards' stretching powers as we see him stretching over to some sort of collapsing debris and the buildings. It looked fine. I think for the most part, I think showcasing Reed Richards and his abilities is always going to be difficult to convince, whether you're doing it in live action, animation, or drawing comic books in general. It's just not a set of powers that's never been very cool or dynamic. But in terms of what I saw in the trailer here, I felt it wasn't too bad. And we then finished off the trailer, of course, with showing just a brief glimpse of Galactus as we see a massive foot walking over the city. Again, smart decision not to show him throughout the trailer, even though I still believe that Galactus shouldn't be in this film at all. I would have much preferred the Fantastic Four to take on a much more grounded villain, for example, let's say Mole Man. And I really hope that despite the bright optimistic tone, that when Galactus does appear, it really carries a sense of dread and overall terror. Galactus is one character that you can't really play for laughs or parody. The whole movie or story that you're trying to tell will completely fall apart if you take on that approach. I really liked how the character was adapted in the vastly underrated Silver Surfer animated series from 1998, where the character was so big and vast that when he consumed planets, it was actually through a technological device set on a platform that he would sit on, and as it would drain all the planet's energy. And that again just gave Galactus this real sense of awe and power and imposing ability that he was too big to be able to just walk around on the planet. So again, hopefully they translate Galactus in the right way. If they don't, then the movie will fail completely. So there's some real thoughts and feelings on the second full trailer of Fantastic Four. Again, not bad in terms of the tone, but really disappointed in the look of the female Silver Surfer. But I was always going to be, as I mentioned before. But let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think about this particular trailer, and also if you have any other movies, television series, or any other issues within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover within this channel. Also drop me a suggestion within the comments, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.